Hello, I'm Bernard Norcott-Mahany. I work at the Blueford branch of the Kansas City Public Library. April is National Poetry Month, and during April I like to recite poems, read poems aloud. For 2022, I am reading Horace's Odes, or some of Horace's Odes. Horace is probably the most famous, maybe the greatest of the lyric poets that wrote in Latin, and in his lifetime, he was famous, just like Virgil in his lifetime was famous, which was somewhat unusual. I mean, usually people got to be really famous sort of after they died. They would do okay during their lifetime, but these guys were already considered sort of classic writers while they still lived. Today we're going to look at Book 1 of the Odes, poem number 11, to Leuconoe. So Leuconoe is a woman. This is another of the more sort of romantic, I guess, or playfully romantic poems. Horace always takes sort of the approach in romance as a guy who used to fall for that stuff, but now he's a wiser sort of guy. So he's somewhat anti-romantic in his romantic poems, much more so than, say, Catullus, who's very sort of passionate in his lyric poetry. There is a reference in this poem to a Ouija board in the translation by David Ferry. Obviously, the Romans did not have a Ouija board. They hadn't been invented yet. This is to translate the Latin Babylonios numeros, Babylonian numbers. So apparently there was some sort of number system of Babylonian numbers that was used as a way of predicting the future or getting information about the unknown. So he says Ouija board. He also could have said tarot cards. It would have been the same thing. That's the idea. We also see in this poem the Carpe Diem, which we see in another poem by Horace. She usually translated as seize the day. It's translated as seize the day in this poem, or hold on to the day, I think. Carpe is actually a word that means to pluck, like to pluck a grape, and so it's more like savor the day would be a better rendition of Carpe Diem. But this is poem number 11 from Book 1, to Leuconoe. Don't be too eager to ask what the gods have in mind for us. What will become of you? What will become of me? What you can read in the cards or spell out on the Ouija board. It's better not to know. Either Jupiter says this coming winter is not, after all, going to be the last winter you have, or else Jupiter says this winter that's coming soon, eating away the cliffs along the Tyrrhenian Sea, it's going to be the final winter of all. Be mindful. Take good care of your household. The time we have is short. Cut short your hopes for longer. Now, as I say these words, time has already fled, backwards away. Leuconoe, hold on to the day. So, hold on to the day is the Carpe Diem that I mentioned earlier. So that was poem 11 from Book 1 of Horace's Odes, to Leuconoe.